Today we're talking about the Kangal, the well-known references about the Kangal. You all know them. We're talking about turkey, about a harsh turkey, climate-wise. So there are very intense temperature swings, which means that very often during certain times of the year, nights are harsh and cold, mornings are sunny, and afternoons are hot. When we talk about a temperature swing, what we are referring to is a significantly large fluctuation in degrees. Since it was bred, and I'll start from here, when we talk about the Congo in that region, it's a dog that, in this respect, really guarantees you, let's say, peace of mind when it comes to the environment. It's a dog that knows how to adapt both to the climate of Sicily and to the climate of the Aosta Valley. It's a dog. If you decide to get one, so let's move on to the first aspect, climatic and environmental aspect. Whether it's in Sicily, Branca, Negrasso, or in the Aosta Valley, that's a Turkish dog in Turkey. It's hot. No, the first or second don't matter. The Congo, wherever you put it, it's fine, obviously. Keeping in mind and respecting what it takes when you get a dog of a certain size. And the Kangal is a dog of a certain size. I mean, it's not just any dog, it's a real dog. When it comes to shepherd dogs, there are two types of shepherd dogs. This is something that isn't mentioned often. The first type of shepherd dog is the herding dog, like the German Shepherd, Belgian Malinois, and then there's the guardian shepherd dog. The Kangal belongs to the second category. The Kangal is a guardian shepherd dog. This is just to give you a general idea, contrary to what some barely literate people might say. Dog lovers, and unfortunately there are quite a few of them, not among the professionals, but among those who are just barely literate about dogs, it has a particular trait that, by its very nature, is not just theoretical, but practical. Unlike a dog that is bred to be a guard, protection, or working dog, in its I never touch on the DNA topic because probing into DNA is something so far-fetched. It honestly makes me laugh, even just when people say it, when they tell me, no, because that soccer player has it in his DNA, or no, because that dog has it in its DNA. I mean, DNA is so long that if you unraveled it, it could wrap around the equator. DNA is something impossible. So whenever someone mentions DNA, I always get chills in every sense. So let's not go there. But DNA does go into its memory. A livestock guardian dog, protecting the flock, defending its animals, whatever they may be, or, generally speaking, what many consider to be defending its territory. And just on this topic alone, you could give entire educational lessons. Why is that? And this isn't just about the Kangal, because when you get a livestock guardian dog, a Caucasian Shepherd, a Congal, a Central Asian Shepherd, or mixed breeds from Central Piedmont that are passed off as other breeds, and you all know exactly who I'm talking about. When people get these dogs, which are livestock guardian dogs, there's a lot of talk about natural dog training or new methods of natural dog training. I'll even throw in the Muramano, but people always forget to mention something. Something about the livestock guardian dog, not the herding dog, but the guardian dog. If you put a fence around him, I mean, if you do this, he's already been taken out of his natural state. All the principles you go on to promote just fall apart. Because a dedicated livestock guardian dog is naturally born to have nothing but wide open space in front of him, a sense of pure, endless vastness. If you tell him or force him to defend a specific territory, you've already lost all those things you claim to be selling. But you can still sell this idea, just to stay on topic, to the canary, not to dog enthusiasts. Why a canaro? Because they don't know these things. A dog enthusiast does know them. So you can fool some people every now and then, but not everyone all the time. Just to be perfectly clear, the Kangal is a dog, unlike many others. I've had the chance to work with them a ton of times because in a certain part of the world, specifically the Middle East, is under scrutiny. For those who don't know what under scrutiny means, go check out my previous videos. Maybe you'll find out. It's under scrutiny for several important reasons because it's a dog capable of. They're known for covering a incredibly vast and expansive range of territory. And unlike many of the other specialized livestock guardian dogs that I have mentioned in my previous videos, or those I will definitely mention in the future, this particular breed has a very unique and distinct trait. It has a significantly more demanding trainability threshold than just about all the others available overall. When I talk about trainability, I'm not talking about basic manners. I mean trainability, like do this, you do it. It's not maybe I'll do it. No, that's basic manners. That's being taught. Training is imperative. It's not optional. It's not like, hey, I'm asking you to. No, it's I'm telling you to, which is different. The Kangal is a dog with which, for example, you can do a send out command. For those who don't know what a send out is, it's kind of like telling the dog, go over there and see what's happening. The Kangal doesn't. And this is something that personally has really impressed me over time because I never would have guessed it in the sense that let's not kid ourselves, coming face to face with a Kangal. It's something that's pretty intimidating. I mean, you're not talking about a little pup. You're talking about a huge dog, an incredibly strong dog, a dog that if it bites you, it's going to hurt. And anyone who's ever been bitten knows that bites aren't pleasant. They hurt. A Kangal's bite really hurts. It's a bite with a force I can't even estimate. So I'm not going to put that in. In the video description, but the Kangal's bite is seriously painful. When I worked with them using traditional methods, and by traditional, I mean without using electricity, why? And what do we mean by electricity? By electricity, I mean the teletac, which a lot of people see as the ultimate evil in dog training, and it's what Cesar Millan regularly uses. In his videos, that little black box, I've talked about it here too in a video on my channel, the little black box. I keep saying that I've seen way less harm done by people using a teletac than by people using choke collars. I've seen way less harm, not in Italy, but in the United States. Because few people know that, for example, there are different types, or rather several types, of teletalk. I don't approve of any of them, meaning I've never used one, and they're just not for me. Probably, over time, that's the direction things will go. But there are people who know how to use electric current as a stimulus. I repeat, as a stimulus. So, not what people usually imagine. That it burns the dog, fries them. No, they're just little shocks that give a stimulus, but that's got nothing to do with it. We'll make a video about it later because this is really one of those myths. Someone should actually start a separate channel just to break down and debunk all the nonsense that gets said. So when people think of an electric collar, they picture something where you plug the dog into an outlet and the dog dies. No, that's not how it works. It's not like that because a dog trained with a stimulation from the current will definitely give you more than a dog trained in submission with a choke collar just to get it done quickly, only you have to know how to do it. I don't know how to do it because I've never done it. I'm not referring to anything. So back to the kangaroo. when I had the opportunity to work on it. And like many others, I started doing this job because I was afraid of dogs as a kid. I was terrified of dogs, and so I approached dogs precisely to exercise this thing inside me. When you find yourself on a leash with a dog as big as a Kangal with a head like that, you start asking yourself a few questions. You ask yourself more than a few questions, and when you actually start working with it, you realize that the comparison is kind of a paradox. But it's not even that far-fetched a paradox for those in the field or for anyone getting into it. Working with a Kangal is actually quite similar to working with a giant St. Bernard, except people imagine the St. Bernard as the sweetest dog on earth because it was a rescue dog. Another myth, it's never really been a rescue dog. It's better not to bother it. Beautiful, beautiful, the dog of your dreams, but I'd still avoid bothering a St. Bernard. The Kangal is a dog you think you have figured out, a god, much like the majestic Maremma sheepdog, like the Caucasian Shepherd. But instead, you have a dog that gives you different responses when it comes to training. Of course, these instinctive responses will never truly be on par with the specialized skills of professional herding dogs, the handler type, but they're also not as extreme as the responses you get from some other dogs. A herding dog, a guard dog. It's a middle ground. It's a dog that gives you a valuable additional option when it comes to professional work. And that's exactly why it's also used in the military field. Not always, not necessarily, but in various situations because of its ability to adapt, right? Because of its ability. Not so much its ability to adapt, which is already important on its own, but it's not a dog extremely suspicious. I mean, it's not a dog that's extremely suspicious in normal situations. It's a dog that's wary when it senses something off or when it picks up on something and something escapes its notice. So when it comes to perimeter checks outside, it's a dog that gives very good alerts, really good alerts. It means that at 700 meters of open propagation, 700 meters of open propagation is a lot. It's not 700 meters in a narrow space. You can hear its bark. And that's a detail that few people know. But actually, for someone who does my job, it's important. There's a big difference between having a deep bark and not having a deep bark. There are big dogs that don't have a deep bark, and there are small dogs that do have a deep bark. The Kangal, for example, is a dog that has a deep bark, meaning 700 meters, with 360-degree propagation, so it's smooth but dispersive. It's a dog you can hear. You can hear its warning. We've talked about this, about training. We've talked about it, about management. From my personal perspective, I truly believe it's one of the most easy to handle and adaptable canine companions for any family setting. For those individuals who live in very spacious homes or expansive properties, it works perfectly as long as there is a constant, dedicated, and ongoing interaction and deep emotional bond with their human family. With your own dog, as long as you make sure to be seen often, generally, those who have these dogs or can afford these dogs, working in my professional field, ambassadors in consulates, people living abroad, Italian residents, Italians living abroad, foreign residents in Italy. Unfortunately, there's a common issue. Most of the time, people who are fairly well off tend to delegate feeding their dog or spending 15 or 20 minutes with them to the household staff. Now, this is something that's better not to do with a Kangal. Not because he's suspicious like the sea in your hand, and one day you might risk him not letting you into your own house, but because it's better for him to really get to know you, to truly know you well. On the other hand, if you're looking for a Kangal to live as a family dog, middle class, and so a small villa or a house with a yard or at least a garden, and you decide you want to really live with your dog, it's an extremely high performing dog when it comes to guarding. And in defense, it's a dog that can also work in protection without any problem at all, both in guarding and in defense. And as a companion dog, meaning it's a dog that fits in, goes along with things, it's a good dog. Then, as they get older, all dogs lose interest in playing, just like older people. They get bored after a while. But it's not a dog that, unlike the Caucasian Shepherd or the Tibetan Mastiff, who tend to be more grumpy, the Kangal, in this respect, is a more adaptable dog, easily joining in children's games because it's so self-assured. You really can't do anything to it, in the sense that you can do whatever you want to it. If the Kangal gets attached to a child or to someone, you can't touch that person. If it gets attached to anyone in the household, or generally to the people in the house, it's like, well, I don't know, like Kevin Costner with Whitney Houston in The Bodyguard. You can't touch him. He's there, and it's something extraordinary. He lets you do anything, but you really can't do anything to him. He lets you do anything, but you really can't do anything to him. Be very wary of people, and this really goes for everyone, of those people who just don't. Do they know what they're about to sell you? Because buying a Kangal isn't like buying, well, with all due respect, a 10-kilo dog. So you need to rely on reputable breeders when we talk about serious breeders. I'm talking about breeders who must be registered with ENC, with a kennel name, or if not, at least a fixed one. At the very least, they should have a history in breeding and, above all, be able to provide you with a pedigree. Later on, I'll explain the importance of the pedigree and official dog breeding and why I always emphasize this point. Why I believe in doing things officially and not in secrecy. Official channels, meaning going to people who might charge you a bit more for the dog. They don't do infomercials on social media. They don't do infomercials on YouTube. They don't have to pitch you, take the puppy, take the young dog. No, they don't need to, because they didn't become breeders after retiring. They made this choice when they were 15, 20, 25 years old and decided to do this as their profession. Relying on them is important because when you're dealing with dogs that are this significant, this important, even in terms of temperament, it's a huge responsibility, at least until nothing happens. I mean, on my channel, we usually talk about dogs that are potentially extremely dangerous, with all the necessary quotation marks. And I'll take one just to teach, just to explain the difference. The difference, fewer canary types, more dog experts, right? Fewer canary types, more dog experts. When they talk, when they say, no, because the shepherd dog is the best guard dog in the world, because it's a dog that, yeah. When people tell you these things, ask yourself why. For example, in concentration camps, a single Doberman could keep 600 people in check. Why didn't they use a shepherd dog? Did the Nazis not know about them? Wouldn't they have been able to use them? No. Because the shepherd dog was bred to go after animals, not people. It was bred to be submissive to people and to go after animals that attack the flock. Guard dogs, Dobermans, Rottweilers, all those breeds that are a bit less popular now because they've fallen out of fashion. These clueless individuals who constantly circulate and spread completely false alternative realities. But you get it. I mean, everyone's got to make a living. But there's a reason for it. There's a reason why in Afghanistan, the dogs that everyone brags about run away when they see Malin. There's a reason for it. It's just that you need to know these things. You need to study them. Otherwise, you end up hawking your own dogs on the internet, which is pretty sad. Anyway, that said, always turn to real professionals and do things properly. This goes for all dogs, but especially for breeds like the Kangal, which is one of those beautiful dogs. They are truly, really beautiful, but they definitely need some very special attention. The kind of attention that is strictly professional. So reach out. Reach out to a breeder who knows how to advise you, or to a trainer who can help you if needed, as long as they're from the old school. From my point of view, which doesn't mean I'm necessarily right, it's just what I think, it doesn't mean I'm right, but you should also go to a vet who knows how to raise them, because this is a dog that needs to grow up well. Once you set all these priorities, you're absolutely free to bring a Kangal home and make a great impression because it's a truly majestic and beautiful dog. Someone might write in the comments, but why didn't you say it's also called Karabash? I get it, come on. From 2,000 subscribers on, I'll have a lot of people who'll want to share their opinions, and that's fine. I don't want you to be less like canary owners, more like dog lovers. Less canary, more dog people. I don't want you. I don't want you. I don't want you. I don't want you. Last question, which is kind of the usual one. Is this a dog for everyone? No, no. So, no, it's not a dog for everyone. It's a dog where you need a decent amount, or at least a minimum of experience behind you. Not because otherwise it'll eat you. No, because dogs don't eat people, except for rare cases. But it's not a dog, like, it's not a first dog. I was saying, what's the first dog you get? I was saying, a Kangal. Great, perfect. What's the first pet you get? Nothing. I'll buy a lion. I'll get myself. So let's just say the Kangal isn't exactly a dog for everyone, but for those who are pretty comfortable with these animals. Maybe they have some experience and want a dog to guard their property. The Kangal's a cool dog, seriously cool. See ya. See y'all in the next video. Please, haters, don't be a pain. At least not too much. Up to a point.